C on the agenda is the Lord's Prayer, Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item D is the mayor's presentation of the 2023 budget.
Get the slides, Chad, or?
The way I did not get the slide.
Okay. All right, no problem. So, accordance with the city charter, Article 2, Section 2.13, is the place where the mayor says, the charter says the mayor has to give the 2023, or actually the budget on an annual basis. So that's what we'll do tonight. The income tax breakout for 2023 was 65% for the general and 35% for the capital fund. Obviously, I think legislation still says we have to renew it every year, try to keep a 50-50 split. We've tried traditionally to keep it closer to 60-40, but right now where we are is the 65-35% split on the income tax revenue as it comes in. As we look at the revenue by category for 2023, again, I think Kevin and Chad did a wonderful job of presenting stuff in that they always estimated the income on the low side, expenses on the high side. Like I told you, Kevin, during budget season, that's exactly what the great Greg Keith always would do for us too. So income tax, we're expecting around $4.875 million this year. The water utility, 3.7. The electric utility, just under $17 million in 2023 at 16.9. And the sewer utility, just under $4 million at $3.977 dollars coming in that way. Local government funds is something that we traditionally get from the state. We're anticipating approximately $350,000 for that this year at $347,200. Chad does, and everybody else does a really good job of getting as much state grants as we can. We're anticipating over $2.7 million of state grants in 2023. So thanks to Chad and everybody else that goes and gets those monies for us. Investment income this year is just over $250,000 at $258,000. I expect that number, as interest rates to increase, that number also will increase as we go into 2023 and then into 2024. I know at many financial institutions, their year CD rates have climbed into the low threes, and I know a lot of people have 2 years at the 4% mark. So as some of our bonds are coming in and those kinds of things, and we have the short-term CDs, we should see an increase in those funds as we go forward beyond 2023. On the appropriation side, the salaries and fringe benefits is the third largest thing that we have. Fringe and salaries and fringes at $12.693 million. Purchase power is $13.8 million, which also is a big number. Debt payments is a little over $2 million at $2.1 million. That's a big number for us. Those are funds that have already been committed. As you all know, we have to pay our debt payments first before anybody else gets paid, before we do anything else. So the lower we can keep that number, the more money we're going to have in general fund. And I know we always try to get the best interest rates, and most of our rates are usually under 1% for the big projects that we had come through. Again, that's a testament to the kind of people that we have working for us year in and year out. For the major machinery equipment for 2023, we're going to replace a refuse truck. It's time to replace one of those. That's a $315,000 item. We'll also replace some membranes in the water plant. Actually, I think we're doing well. When they first started the plant, this is the first packs or the first racks of membranes usually go pretty quick, and our guys have done a really good job of watching those and making sure that we get really good life of the first set. We'll also replace a dump truck and a service truck. It helps our employees by giving them the materials, machines they need to do a good job. We hopefully can be able to use that as a retaining piece for our employees as well. Police vehicle, we'll get one of those, and then it has to go to Van Wert for over $104,000. And we'll also picking up some life packs for the fire department. 3 of those at a grand total of over $100,000, which is big. The big capital items we're gonna use in 2023, the big numbers, we're gonna work on the Oakwood Avenue storm sewer improvements. That's the first part of it. Obviously, in 2024, we'll start the repaving and the rework of that, assuming the state does their roundabout like they said they're gonna do north of 6 and 24 around the 108. Again, we had this kind of plan to do the Oakwood Avenue sooner, but we don't want to close down 2 major arteries to come into Napoleon at the same year. So waiting for them to go there first, and we'll do ours next. 3rd Street, we'll do some stuff on the south side, 3rd Street resurfacing project, and also the Meekison Street sanitary sewer replacement project. So a lot of dirt, a lot of dust will be flying over on the south side in 2023. And obviously the wastewater plant, we hope to get that project done before the 2023 fades away. And it's kind of weird to think about that already. Here we are at the end of 2022, think about end of 2023. On the annual resurfacing projects, we hope to do Jerome, Union, Scott from Riverview up to Clinton, and also Wayne Park Drive. I think if you drive around and see the conditions of those streets, I think you'll realize, I think that Chad does a really good job of identifying the roads that need a resurfacing project, and we appreciate all that stuff. So those are the major items we have for the 2023 budget. Does anybody have any questions at this time?
Can you repeat that, because now they have it up on the screen?
Sure. So we're going through, and obviously on the major capital items, we do not have the resurfacing projects, but I thought those are kind of important to add because people are going to see those out a lot. There's the major machinery and equipment. I did not mention the lift station on Palmer Ditch. That's obviously a big one as well. That's one of those projects that has to get done, because if it doesn't work, everybody's gonna know in a hurry, but when it works, nobody really realizes how much work those lift stations do for us year in and year out. If you go, just keep going back up. We'll do it reverse. We'll do it both ways. It's absolutely fine. So that part we did. There we go. So there's your appropriation budget, all your funds. Again, salaries and fringes at 12.6, operating at 17, purchase power at 13.8. And then you see the capital, I talked about the debt, and payments there as well. And then, so we're gonna go one more up, and then you see all the revenue by category. Again, income tax at 4.8, purchase power at just under 17 at 16.9. Again, kind of going down there, the third one from the bottom is the investment income at $258,000. I anticipate we'll start to see that number grow as rates continue to increase across this great state of ours. So that was that, and then the first one again was the split between the 65 and 35. So does anybody else have any more questions? They support that out? Anybody? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice job, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Okay, moving on to item E, approval of minutes from November 7th, 2022 regular council meeting. In the absence of any objections or corrections, the minutes shall stand approved. Hearing none, they stand approved. Okay, item F is citizen communication. If we have anyone in the audience or on WebEx that would like to address council for anything that is not on the agenda, you can step forward now, or if you're on WebEx, go ahead and leave us a message in the chat. We'll check that throughout the meeting. Item G is reports from council committees. G1, the electric committee did not meet on November 14th, 2022 due to lack of agenda items. G2, the water, sewer, refuse, recycling, and litter committee did not meet on November 14th due to lack of agenda items. And G3, the municipal property land use economic development committee met on November 14th. And Molly?
Yes, thank you. We recommend to council to approve the ODOT acquisition of the city property for US Route 24 project.
Okay, thank you very much. And item G4, the Personnel Committee met on November 14th, 2022 at 7:13 p.m. and went into executive session. Jason?
Yeah, we went to executive session to consider employment of a public employee. There'll be an update later.
Thank you. And G5, the Parks and Rec Committee did not meet on November 21st, 2022 due to lack of agenda items. Moving on to item I, introductions of new ordinances and resolutions. I1 is ordinance number 064-22, an ordinance creating the non-bargaining position of Geographic Information System Technician, Senior Technician for the City of Napoleon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. Have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. Chad?
Yes, this legislation would allow the engineering department to create a position to hire a GIS personnel. Previous councils had approved the hiring of an individual, but we did not have a pay classification or a job description. This would allow us to implement that, and we've already had some outside interest by individuals for this position, so we're hopeful that we can get this passed and get somebody on staff to take over the GIS responsibilities in the engineering department.
All right, thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments?
How much do we spend annually on GIS? Rough numbers, Chad.
Most years, we have a line item in the budget for $100,000. I had reduced it this year with the hopes that we could get someone on staff. We may still have to have some small items supported externally, but we will only hire someone on a case-by-case basis for those issues if
Okay.
we're able to fill this position.
Right. A new employee will cost us probably right around 100.
A little less than that.
A little less than that, yeah.
With the hourly wage and insurance, the hourly wage would probably be in the neighborhood of $50,000 annually, plus $18,000 if they want a family health plan and benefits, so
Saving some dollars.
75, 80,000 probably.
Any other questions? Okay. Marissa, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
All right, that will move on to second read. I2, ordinance number 065-22, an ordinance creating the non-bargaining position of Assistant Chief of Police for the City of Napoleon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
A motion?
Second.
Okay, Chad?
Yes, this legislation, this issue was brought to a committee of council. It would restructure the police department, and it would create an assistant position. It would adjust the chief's position, and it would just allow for there to be more vertical movement for employees. I believe it was recommended by the committee to council, but yeah, this would allow the restructuring of the police department to allow for the assistant chief's position to be an actual paid position rather than just assigning duties to lieutenants.
Thank you. Yes.
Just one other thing I want to remind people of, this is not creating an extra job position. This is the same number of employees without an extra position.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Chief Mack, do you have anything that you wanted to add to this at all?
Not unless there's questions.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anyone have any questions? All right, Marissa, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Okay, that will move on to second read as well. Item I3 is resolution number 066-22, a resolution extending the provisions contained in ordinance number 021-18 and resolution number 086-19, 072-20, and 046-21, wherein council imposed a temporary reduction and/or temporary elimination of certain residential building permit fees and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Chad?
Yes, in 2019, City Council issued, they suspended fees on some of the fees associated with new construction, some of the sewer tap fees, engineering and plan review fees, things of that nature to try to promote residential building in the city of Napoleon. Since 2019, that legislation has been brought back annually, and this is just another extension of that same legislation in the hopes to continue the promotion of residential growth.
Did you see an increase since we implemented this?
We have seen a lot of increase in housing development. I won't necessarily say that this was solely responsible, but I do believe it helped get some of those developments moving. And I do know we have some other housing developments being discussed. We haven't had anything come through the engineering department, but we've had developers talk to us about future plans that they'd like to initiate.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
I know it's kind of a pain to bring this back every year, but it's a reminder for the builders, a reminder for us of what we're trying to do to promote residential growth in the city of Napoleon. So, again, I know it's something we don't have to do every year, but I think it's just a really good reminder. I know Billy and Tammy, it's kind of a pain for them to erase and add numbers and put stuff in at the same
It's not
time.
that bad. Next year you can do it by motion if you want. That's in the legislation.
Okay, so I think it's just important to kind of keep bringing this up as a legislative item, especially this time of year, just to remind ourselves and again, the builders that, I think just, it was a signal for builders that, you know, we're trying to help promote growth, so as much as anything else. So.
I agree. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 All right, that, we'll move on to third read,
Second read.
or second read, thank you. I-5 is resolution number 068-22.
You missed 4.
Am I almost done?
Almost,
We had 20 of these
I know.
today. Yeah, right. Okay. So we'll go back to I-4, resolution number 067-22, a resolution strongly supporting the Napoleon Area Schools resolution in taking legal action regarding the cultural center of Henry County.
A motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Yes, this resolution just states that the city council supports the school in their stance against the cultural center. The school took the position that they are able to move forward with legal action that has not started, but this resolution just states that the city of Napoleon council strongly supports the school in their efforts.
Thank you. Any questions or comments regarding this? Okay, hearing none, Marissa, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Okay, that will move on to second read. Item I-5, resolution number 068-22, a resolution authorizing the expenditure of funds and authorizing a department director to take bids on certain projects, services, equipment, materials, or supplies without the requirement for additional legislation to do so in the year 2023 and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second.
All right, thank you. Chad?
Yes, this is the annual legislation that's prepared that allows departments to put projects out for bid. If we did not have this in place when we wanted to bid a project, we would have to have full legislation. This allows projects to be bid by simple motion of approval by council. So this is for the annual projects for 2023.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 All right, that will be moving on to second read. Item I-6 is resolution number 069-22, a resolution authorizing expenditure of funds in excess of $50,000 in and for the year 2023 as it relates to reoccurring costs associated with the operation of the city, for payment of expenses and for purchases associated with vendors utilized by multiple departments within the city, elimination of necessity of competitive bidding in and for the year 2023 as it relates to certain transactions and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Chad?
This is another piece of annual legislation that's prepared, allows purchases from vendors, suppliers, service providers that might provide services or supplies that exceed the $50,000 threshold. But this, any of the vendors, suppliers, manufacturers on this list, then the departments can purchase from them and exceed that amount.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly? Yes.
Lori? Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
All right, that too will move on to second read. Item I-7 is resolution number 070-22, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor of Henry County for the 2022 tax duplicates payables in the year 2023 and declaring an emergency.
A motion?
Second.
Chad?
Another piece of annual legislation, and I'll be honest, Kevin can explain this one better than I can.
This is just the annual legislation where the Budget Commission by law have to agree upon our expected revenues from any property taxes that we adhere to. So we have the 2 mills for the general fund, the .6 and the .3 for the police and fire districts. We have the parks levy of 1.9 mills. So it's just the annual approval of the anticipated amount of revenue that we receive from those.
Thank you, Kevin.
And what this is that we are agreeing with these numbers.
Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly? Yes. Lori?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
All right, that will move on to second read. I-8, resolution number 071-22, a resolution authorizing and directing the finance director of the city of Napoleon to certify and file annual special assessments of the city of Napoleon, Ohio, with the county auditor of Henry County for placement and collection on the 2022 tax duplicates payable in the year 2023 and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second.
Kevin, want this one as well?
Yes, this resolution is the annual approval of who we are going to assess for various reasons. If you look at the attachments there, some of them are because of nuisance fees, whether we mowed the yard or items like that. And then there's also because we still have some assessments out there for some sewer lines or water lines throughout the city. Some of these assessments have been pretty old, but they're actually about ready to roll off in a year or two. But we need annual approval to allow the county auditor to assess their property taxes for these items.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hey, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly? Yes. Lori?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
All right, that will move on to second read. Item I-9 is resolution number 072-22, a resolution authorizing a contribution to the Community Improvement Corporation of Henry County, Ohio, in and for the year 2023 and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, Chad?
Yes, each year, council's asked by the CIC to help financially support them. We met with them at budget time. Council directed that the level of support for 2023 would be $45,000. This is a resolution authorizing that contribution to the CIC.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Marissa, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Okay, that will move on to second read. I-10, ordinance number 073-22, an ordinance establishing an appropriation measure budget of the city of Napoleon, Ohio for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023, listed in Exhibit A, and declaring an emergency. Have a motion?
A motion?
Second.
Chad?
Yes, this legislation is your 2023 budget. So passage of this will allow the city to operate in the coming year. This one's pretty straightforward.
All right. Great, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 All right. That will move on to second read as well. Yeah, item I-11 is resolution number 074-22, a resolution authorizing the finance director to transfer certain fund balances from respective funds to other funds per section 5705.14 ORC on an as-needed basis in fiscal year 2023, listed in Exhibit A, and declaring an emergency.
A motion?
Second.
Kevin, you want that one?
Sure.
All right.
Sure. This is an annual transfer of funds. What this allows the finance director to do is to go ahead and move funds from one fund to the next within range that is established here when needed. And for example, some of the when needed is all the city income tax goes into the 170 fund. We move that money out of the 170 fund into the proper funds, whether it be general fund, the capital fund, or the parks fund. So this resolution allows us to do that. There's some other items in here where we move funds from like the water department or the water fund to debt service funds. So this just allows us the flexibility to do that.
Thank you for that explanation. Have any questions or comments? Hey, Marissa, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Okay, that will be moving on to second read. Item I-12, ordinance number 075-22, an ordinance amending the allocation of funds as found in sections 193.11 and 194.013 of the codified ordinances of the city of Napoleon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second.
Chad?
Yes, this is the legislation as mentioned in the mayor's presentation. This allocates the funds on the percentage of 65% operating to 35% capital costs. So this is the legislation that divides those funds.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Marissa, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Okay, that will move on to second read. Item I-13, ordinance number 076-22, an ordinance apportioning the expenses incurred, including wages, salaries, and fringe benefits of the mayor, council, and various other departments of the city of Napoleon, which are not otherwise directly charged to special and/or capital projects among various accounts effective January 1st, 2023, and amending ordinances numbers 104-09, 087-19, 069-20, and 059-21, and declaring an emergency.
A motion?
Second.
Okay. Chad?
This is legislation allows transfer of funds to cover the cost for individuals such as council, where a portion of the wage may come from water, sewer, electric. Even though you're not a part of those departments, you oversee the operations of the whole city. It's for several different individuals, including mayor, council. I believe this even affects city manager,
Yep.
myself as well, but that's what this legislation allows for.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
and Henry.
Yes.
All right, item I-14, ordinance number 077-22, and ordinance establishing a new position classification pay plan for employees of the city of Napoleon, Ohio for the year 2023, repealing ordinance number 053-21, and declaring an emergency.
A motion?
Second.
Chad?
This is the annual legislation for the cost of living adjustments for the non-bargaining employees of the city. In the legislation, it was proposed at a 3.5% pay increase from the 2022 pay scales. I did want to mention, and I mentioned it to the mayor, I know it was discussed in committee. There was some discussion of adjusting the wage scale for the operations superintendent to match that of the water plant superintendent and wastewater superintendent. That is not in this legislation. If you wanted to make that change, you would have to amend this legislation or bring it back at another time. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that we did not change it since we didn't have, we weren't directed by council to do that. So,
Could I ask a question on this? Am I correct that if these numbers change between first and second read, would we lose a read on that?
No.
If we go into executive session and come out and say we want to
You
do,
can amend. If
0.5
you
instead of
go-
3.5.
If you're on second read, about to go to third, and you amend, then it would come back to second read.
we can
But
amend for second
You can
read.
amend tonight, and you could suspend the rules even on a second read, going into a third, but suspending that rule stating that it comes back on a second read and still push it forward to a third if you wanted to do that. It's just more voting.
So these could be adjusted between
Absolutely, as we go.
various
yeah.
reads?
Yeah.
Okay.
I somehow had that lost in the shuffle, Chad, because I know we talked about it at, let's say, Human Resources, I think.
we
right?
discussed it, and I think we were planning to discuss it further at budget, and we never really discussed wages as its own topic at budget. But I just wanted to bring it to your attention, and like Billy said, if we don't address it this evening, that's fine, it can be addressed later, or you could address it at any time, it would just take separate legislation. If it's addressed as part of this legislation, it could be done by amending, a simple amendment, so.
that wasn't my committee, but unfortunately I took a temporary sabbatical during that section of the budget meeting and did not mention it because I wasn't able to.
No.
But it was in the committee.
Do we want to see some, I'm not saying I'm for it, I'm against it, I just like to see some hard numbers. I mean, I think I'm for it, I think that's kind of the way we talked about, but I just want to see
And I
some
can,
numbers. I mean, you got them already, look at this.
yeah, because this is the legislation, try to zoom in so you can actually see it on the screen. The operations superintendent scale is 24/29/17 to 34/45 biweekly. Water and wastewater, you can see, are the same, 2659.54 to 3584.34. What was proposed in the committee meeting was to make the operations superintendent's bottom and top match that of water and wastewater. So essentially, this one scale that's on its own would match the other two. The top end, I know we always look at the largest possible financial impact would be approximately $140 every 2 weeks.
I guess we would either need a motion to amend this now, or if we want to think about it and bring it back in 2 weeks.
Do we know why there's a difference?
No,
Or why it would be?
I have no idea why that difference ever started.
I don't know if many, many years ago, perhaps that position wasn't required to have licenses. That's the only reason I can think of, but I don't know if that's the case either. That's just best guess.
Does he have licenses now?
Yes, he's required to have 2 licenses and then technically a third. He has water distribution, sewer collection, and then a backflow license. Now, the licenses at the plants, say a water treatment license supersedes a water distribution.
Right.
But operations is required to have both sides. He has the water coming and going.
Right. Jeff Weiss, how many licenses do you have since you're sitting out here?
Me personally,
Yeah,
He has a bunch.
I have water and wastewater.
you have 2 also?
I have both treatments.
Okay.
He's required to have the water to be the superintendent. It's just he was able to get his wastewater with his,
Past experience.
yeah, his
Okay.
past experience.
Okay.
And we have several individuals like that. We have individuals like that at both plants. We have individuals like that at operations. It's just for the requirements to have the job, those licenses are in the operations superintendent's job description.
Makes sense to me to have it there. Does a heck of a job. That's the guy you call at 2 AM when the water main breaks, or something's not going the right way, right? And his guys come out and they fix it. They need to make sure we're doing it right. That's who we're gonna use. They're all very, very important people. Is it an increase on the top? Yep. Is it, I think it's a fair one. They all carry licenses. We can table it and come back in 2 weeks and talk about it, or we can just do it now.
Real quick, the $140 every 2 weeks, that would be annually, the maximum increase would be $3,360.
Chad, do you have a recommendation for us?
I'd like to see it. I think each of those department heads does a great job. And actually, before I get too far, my math was wrong. I did 24 pays. It's 3,640. That's
That's too
26
much.
pays. I didn't want to give you wrong information, especially in an open meeting. And I'm biased. He's my employee. But we also have individuals coming up that are going to take over. And part of the complaint, part of the issue we had finding someone willing to step into that role was there wasn't a high enough wage for that job when they could stay where they were hourly with overtime, on-call hours, and make essentially the same amount of money. This would help that, and I think it would show that, yes, the water plant and the wastewater plant are very important pieces of the puzzle. Operations is the piece between the two.
I move that we make the adjustment now.
I'll second that. Anyone else have any questions or comments regarding this?
The only thing I was saying, Mr. President, is just, I know the focus of the discussion was the fact that they both needed licenses.
Mhm.
And I think that does make, the fact that they both need these licenses makes it so they should be
Right,
equal.
I agree. Okay. Hey, Marissa, please call the roll on the amendment.
Molly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
So Billy, we can just do.
Proceed as normal at this point. If you come back to this topic again, you can make the further amendment. Both of those amendments would come back for second read in 2 weeks. And then if you make another amendment in 2 weeks, then we'll have to take a separate vote to say that we're suspending the rule requiring that this legislation return back to second read.
Okay. All right, then Marissa, can you call the roll on the ordinance, please?
Molly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that will move on to second read. Okay, item J, second readings of ordinances and resolutions. J1 is ordinance number 063-22, an ordinance approving the execution of an efficiency smart schedule with American Municipal Power Incorporated and declaring an emergency.
A motion?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Chad?
Yes, this legislation is just the renewal of a contract with Efficiency Smart. It'd be another 3 years, and it would enroll us in the program as outlined in Efficiency Smart's presentation. They help the city, businesses, especially the manufacturing, not necessarily save costs, but that by saving energy and becoming more efficient, which in turn lowers their electric bill. It also adds incentives to households and individuals, whether it be through more efficient light bulbs or reimbursements for buying energy efficient appliances or swapping out a less efficient appliance. But just second read for that legislation.
Thank you. All right, any questions, comments?
In a time of rising energy costs in our budget, everybody had double-digit increases on fuel and those kinds of things that they use. This is our tool to help our people fight it.
It's been proven year after year.
Yep.
All right, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that will move on to third read. Item K, third readings of ordinances and resolutions. K1 is resolution number 057-22, a resolution authorizing amendments to the previously executed Community Reinvestment Area CRA agreement with Keller Logistics Incorporated within Napoleon CRA number 7 and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second?
Chad?
This is just a third read to modify the CRA agreement with them. They increased the size of their development and came under another parent company's name. So it's just third read to finish out the CRA amendments.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
All right, that has been passed on third read. Item K2 is ordinance number 058-22, an ordinance amending certain sections of the City of Napoleon Personnel Code, specifically section 197.14 D8, overtime basic rate, section 197.16 F1, effects of vacations and days off on city-observed legal holidays, and section 197.14 D5, minimum call-out time, also amending the City of Napoleon Employment Policy Manual, specifically Policy 4.4, effects of time off and ability to earn overtime pay. Have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, Chad?
Yes, this modifies the codes to allow for overtime to be paid after 8 hours in one day rather than the 40-hour week. This was modified several years ago to the 40 hours. It's caused some issues with individuals not being able to get overtime compared to what their union coworkers currently get. So this would change it back to the 8-hour day. So this is just third read on that legislation.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, that is passed on third read. Item K3, ordinance number 059-22, and ordinance amending ordinance number 053-21 regarding compensation of the Napoleon Municipal Court bailiff for the year 2023 and declaring an emergency.
Motion.
Second.
Chad?
This legislation came at Judge Schuler's request. It's third read to adjust the top of the pay scale for the municipal court bailiff from $1,769.71 biweekly pay to $2,307.69. So,
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes,
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
that is passed on third read. Item K4, resolution number 060-22, a resolution approving the provisions of a certain collective bargaining agreement number 2022 Med 080736 between the City of Napoleon and Local 240 Napoleon Police Officers Association, IUPA, AFL-CIO, for the term commencing from December 1st, 2022 through November 30th, 2025, authorizing the city manager to execute the same and declaring an emergency.
I'll motion.
Second.
Okay, Chad?
this is the police union contract. Nothing's changed, so just requesting third read.
Any questions or comments? Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes,
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
that is passed on third read. Item K5, resolution number 061-22, a resolution approving the provisions of a certain collective bargaining agreement number 2022 Med 080777 between the City of Napoleon and Local 3363 International Association of Firefighters for the term commencing from January 1st, 2023 through December 30th, 2025, authorizing the city manager to execute the same and declaring an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Chad?
This is our final collective bargaining contract. This one's for fire. Nothing's been modified since first or second read. Just requesting third read, and we'll be done with union contracts for the year.
Great. Any questions? Comments? Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Warren,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
All right, that is passed on third read. And I'm not sad to say that is the end of ordinances and resolutions for tonight.
You had more words than the mayor had in his speech.
He did.
Oh, can you believe that?
No, you're not.
All right. Moving on to item L, good of the city. L1, discussion or action to approve the ODOT acquisition of city property for US Route 24 project. Chad?
Yes, we received a request from the Ohio Department of Transportation. They're going to be doing some additional improvements to US Route 624 going around Napoleon. On the sketch attached, you can see here, this is the Walmart complex. You can see Wood Drive over in here. The old DT&I Railroad had a track through here, and the city now owns that property. What ODOT is requesting is to take this overpass out. They want to lower US Route 624, eliminate this overpass because of the expense to maintain that, even though there's no traffic there. Currently, it is used by individuals walking primarily from Glenwood across the city's property underneath 24 to get to Walmart. What ODOT has proposed, and I don't have the details on what exactly it would be, but if the city agrees to donate this property to ODOT, they will construct a path along their right-of-way over to Scott Street, which I don't believe quite shows up on here. Over in this area, that's where ODOT will be building the roundabout coming off the ramp to Scott Street. As part of that roundabout, next year, they will build a sidewalk from Bonaparte along the west side of Scott Street and tie into the sidewalk, the existing sidewalk, essentially where Main Stop is now located. Well, this path they would create would continue along the right-of-way here and tie into that sidewalk. So although we'd be eliminating access here, there would be an access created that for the sole purpose of moving people. Right now, it's kind of a dirt path through here, not maintained. This would be a path that would be able to be maintained. My guess is ODOT would expect us to maintain it. I don't know for certain. It'd depend on which side of that fence it gets put. ODOT has not given me that answer, but what they've requested is, they've requested that the city donate the property to them, which is approximately 0.733 acres of ground, of which I think it was 0.062 acres that are actually considered developable. I don't know that we could consider it developable because it's inside the limited access right-of-way limits. But most of the property is sloped coming off of 24, so you wouldn't be able to do anything with it anyhow. So the request is to have it donated. If we say we want them to purchase it, they had it appraised, and let me find it here. The appraisal value came back at $7,525. So we can tell them we want $7,500, or we can donate it to ODOT.
And I think we discussed in the municipal properties meeting a little bit, all the benefits that we receive from ODOT and some of their projects they do in the city limits. I think it's well worth the $7,500 to donate that to them.
That's
My
going,
opinion.
I'm sorry to interrupt, that's going to require legislation.
Yes.
Okay.
So I guess I'm just requesting council direct the law department to draft the appropriate legislation, of which I have a sample from ODOT for this.
I would love to see the comps for underneath the bridge value.
Yeah.
I completely agree. I think I think you said it really well at the municipal properties meeting, Joe, about we have a good relationship. They're gonna put a path in so the residents that live there can still get the commercial area. This is really, really easy. Let's just give it to them, get a really nice path done. That's
Do
kinda
we
where I'm
want
at.
to know specifics?
Oh, I think we do. I think we can get down that path, you know, hey, we're willing to do it, but you gotta give some specifics of what you're gonna build and what side of the fence, is it our maintain or you maintain, and those kinds of things.
Well, and I know part of our path currently that we have on our 16-acre parcel, part of that is maintained with some of the mulch from our mulch pile. So it raises it up out of the wet areas out there, and it's easy to maintain.
Right.
Every spring, we'll go out there and add to it a little bit. So there isn't much cost for us in a maintenance scenario if they continue with that type of footpath.
They weren't talking about a concrete path, were they?
I don't believe so. A lot of this was negotiated between Joel Mazer and ODOT. I came in kind of late, but I had never been told anything about an actual concrete path.
That bridge comes down, let's make that part look altogether different on that edge of town.
It could potentially lower that by 20, 30 feet.
Right.
All right, so we just need a motion to direct the law director to draft legislation.
Yes.
I'll motion.
Second.
Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
Ben.
Yes.
Okay, item L2, discussion or action, approve specifications for chemicals for the water treatment and wastewater treatment plants for year 2023. Okay, Chad?
Yes, approval here would just allow the plants to go out for their annual bids for chemicals. Jeff, you want to elaborate on, we've reduced quite a few of the chemicals since we changed our $50,000 threshold.
Yeah, we were able to, I think it was 7 chemicals on the water side that we fell between the $20,000 and $25,000 range pretty much annually, so obviously increasing that to 50, through those out of the billable process, it is gonna probably allow for some more flexibility for us to kind of handpick some vendors and ensure deliveries versus being put on a situation where they might only bid this next year for a 3-month period, because that's what we're kind of hearing from a lot of other municipalities, that they're not getting bids for a full calendar year. It's because these vendors can't access the chemicals and guarantee it for a full year, so this might actually benefit us a little bit with that. But as far as the wastewater side goes, they're bidding their one chemical like they do every year, so.
So even with the adjustment, we still have a few chemicals we need to bid, and that's what this will allow them to go out and advertise for those bids.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff. And a motion to approve.
I'll motion.
Second.
Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
yes,
Ben.
Yes.
Okay, that's been approved. Item L3 is discussion and action, appoint 2 city elected officials to represent the city of Napoleon on the Henry County CIC Board of Directors in 2023. Right now, we have
Yeah,
Jason and Dan.
no, Molly.
I'm sorry, Molly.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I think the personal opinion, the mayor, one of the things they're charged with is economic development, so this makes a lot of sense to be on this board. And, the new tradition we've kind of tried to start is the municipal properties, economic development committee chair. I think it makes a lot of sense to have them be on CIC as well, so I can't make a motion, but that's, would be my urging, I guess.
It'd be a motion for legislation anyway, we do that.
Yeah.
every year, so.
then I'd make a motion to nominate the mayor and Councilman Nepling with her approval. Continue in those positions.
Second that.
Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes,
Ben.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to L4, discussion or action, review approval of the power supply cost adjustment factor for November 2022, PSCAF 3-month average factor 0.01631, and JV2 0.102609. Kevin?
Nope.
What's all this mean, Kevin?
This is just your monthly motion to accept the rates as they are developed. We calculate on a 3-month rolling average, so these will be next month's rates.
All right, thank you.
Up quite a bit.
Hmm?
It's up quite a bit.
They'll be trending up. I don't think it's anything unusual for this time of year, but if you look last month, I'll bring it up here on my end. We went going from 0.1338 to 0.1631. If you look at September 2021 of last year, we were at, or November, excuse me, we were at 0.00885. But the way the trends are with the cost of fuel, the increase of that is certainly a big factor of what these rates are directing to. They are lower than they were 3 months ago, though.
All right, give a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
All right, it's been approved. Okay, we'll go around the table here, and we'll start with Chad today.
Just a reminder that tonight would be Clayton's last council meeting, so Clayton, appreciate working with you for the last several years. We've worked on some big projects together, primarily the feasibility study, and I'm glad you were able to be here to help us present that. So just want to wish you luck, and if you ever need anything, give us a call. One other item I wanted to mention, most years, we bring in a firm to check our water system for leaks. The leak detection guys were in, finished their findings, and one of the leaks we found was at the intersection of East Maumee and Appian. That is scheduled for repair tomorrow. There will be some lane closures and detours. Those will be signed. We will have individuals flagging, and Campbell's was contacted directly. But if you're driving in that area tomorrow, please be careful between 8:30 and 4 while we do some repairs. So just wanted to make sure I got that out there tonight. But that's all I have.
It's just a one-day repair.
Yes,
quick
just
fix.
one, well,
Knock on wood, yes.
Fingers crossed.
we planned for it to be one day, so, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Billy?
Best of luck to Clayton, that's all I have.
Okay, thanks. Ken?
Good luck with the new one, Clayton. I don't have anything else.
Dan?
Yeah, Clayton, I've appreciated all you've done and the help you've given me as chairman of the Safety and Human Resources over the last 7 years. I greatly appreciated of that, and I wish you the best in Oregon. And, Mr. Chair, since we do have a budget, at least the mayor presented a budget to us, and we attempted to vote on it tonight, or we did vote on it tonight, I'm assuming your finance committee will not need to meet next Monday. Is that a fair assumption?
We done for the year, Kevin? or-
We are not done for the year because we will have to meet next month due to the fourth quarter budget adjustments, but there is no need to meet next Monday unless you really would like to.
So if you don't want to meet next Monday, I would like to request to move my Safety and Human Resources meeting to 7 instead of 7:30.
That works for me.
That is also.
All right. Mr. Mayor?
In my box this past week, we got a nice box of chocolates. The card was made out, Jason Miles, Mayor, and City Council of the City of Napoleon. It's a Happy Thanksgiving card. It is from, thanks for all you do year-round. You are appreciated, true leaders. So we will pass this to Kevin. And Kevin, you get your first selection of, as Jim Gaffigan calls it, the Gamble chocolate, or as Forrest Gump calls it, life is like a box of chocolates. So I'm not giving you that piece. You get to just pick your own. And we'll pass it around this way. So we'll start down there with Kevin and work its way back here, so.
It's like chocolate roulette.
It's chocolate roulette, yep, yep. And then here's a nice thank you card also for, if we all want to sign that, for Mrs. Leaders. I thought that was really, really generous of her to remember us, this time. So, I'd like to have a personnel committee meet next Tuesday, the 29th, start at 6:15 PM, if we can add that. Just finishing up the budget, I just want to say a nice thank you for Kevin and for Chad for a great budget presentation, also for Brandy for working those Excel spreadsheets like there's no tomorrow, and then also for Brittany for all the help that she gave. Yeah, Marissa, see, how about that? You're welcome. So, I'm taking this one. Dan, there you go. Had Roxanne reach out to the Board of Elections today. Petitions can get pulled on the 11th of December, and they're due the 1st of February on the, next year at 4 o'clock. So that is that. Really good chocolate, by the way. What there? It goes out to Ed or Britt or Ben Smith or
Pass it
Steve
around.
Mack or somebody take them.
Don't forget Brian.
Oh, thanks.
I've got a similar box we're working on at the office. Also from Truce.
The raises in the union negotiated contracts are not given, they're earned. And they're earned every day by our people, by the way they conduct themselves in very stressful situations. And the people out there with badges on their chest know it better than we ever will. And the people that are awake at 3 o'clock working on a main break that we never know about, or the guys in the trees taking down electrical wires when it's not fit for to be outside. That's how they earn those union negotiated contracts. So because they do that really, really well, day in and day out, those are much more palatable to agree to. So Chief O'Brien, thank you so much for everything you've done for us. You really screwed up, you know that? You set the bar so high, it's gonna be really, really tough to replace you. We'll try to figure it out, but thank you very much for everything you've done for us. Really appreciate it. Other than that, have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, Chief O'Brien can be missed. Appreciate all the knowledge that you gave me, all the time we had together. You know, understanding what you guys do from my first year and going to that training school. That was a lot of fun. Appreciate it. Gonna miss having you around, so don't be a stranger. And I won't tell you what to tell Joel when you get there. We can talk about that later. So, the only other thing I have is regarding the Personnel Committee. I am on that with the mayor and Lori right now. And due to different things that I don't have the time that I need to put into it right now and some other things going on, I'm going to step away from that Personnel Committee at this time. Hopefully I'll be back on it soon. So,
Hopefully not, then we, because then we have a
well,
place over.
right,
Yeah,
don't need one.
I know what you mean, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But at this time, I'm going to resign from that Personnel Committee and looking for someone else that would like to take my spot. That's all I have. Lori?
Thank you, Clayton. Good luck to you. And I think, just want to say that I'm grateful for all of you that I get to come in and serve the city with every day, and happy Thanksgiving.
Chief O'Brien, your passion shows with what you do, and it's gonna be missed. So thank you for all you do, and we'll miss you. But good luck.
We need a person for the Personnel Committee.
I would like to nominate Dan if he's willing. I think through your committee chair position, you'd be a good addition to the committee.
because of this lady out here, my committee's been real busy.
Is that an 18-wheeler horn I just?
It was a bus.
I am willing, yes. Yes.
You have time.
As long as it's not luncheon meetings, that would be a conflict for me. As long as it's not luncheon meetings, I can do it.
I'll second that. Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate that. Kevin?
Well, I will say too, Clayton, best of luck to you in the future, and it was very nice working with you this past year and a half. But you will do fantastic things, no doubt about it. I just want to have just a quick discussion or thank you. When we get to this point of the budgeting process, I know it's not over, we got 2 more reads, but on my end, the heavy work has been mostly completed. And, you know, I just want to thank the following people for the process. First of all, I want to thank council for making the hearings go as smooth as possible. And Marissa, that you're a big help on that too, so appreciate your efforts with that, especially coming in on Saturdays. I know it takes time away from your families with that. Chad, thanks, appreciate all the discussions that we had this past year, and the past 3 months with that. A few people behind the scenes, Tracy, Chris, Kim Franz are ladies in my office that has helped me throughout that process. Brandy Gonzalez, who's the ones that does the spreadsheets for us. Brittany Roof, thank you very much for the payroll information and helped me through that process. And really, last but not least, and it's a major important, Billy and Tammy Fine in your office, just a super help, because without them at the tail end, all this resolutions, it's a process. So I try to leave not anybody out, but, you know, this is a team effort, and so to get us to this point, and I appreciate everyone's help. That's all I have.
Thank you. And put yourself on that list. Thank you for everything you did.
Council President, may I speak?
Yeah, come on.
So I just wanted to say, I do really truly appreciate working with this council and all previous councils before. I mean, when you talked about Feel the Heat, when we went back in 2015, and the mayor, you were on as a council member at that time. So the successes that we've had at the fire department only go as far as what we are supported by not only the community, but by the council members. And so I'm very confident that we're leaving the place in a great place to continue to move forward. There's the men and women over there are just as passionate as I am about the job. So I just wanted to extend my sincere thanks that, you know, I feel like this is just a new calling that I constantly preach of, you know, what are we doing to make the fire service better today than it was yesterday? And if I look at that, I might just have a little bit bigger impact, you know, with a larger scale at the city of Oregon. So I truly do appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you for making my job a lot easier. And I certainly will miss every one of you. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. These only 2. All right, could I have a motion to go into executive session for compensation of personnel and economic development?
I'll motion.
Second.
Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Or is
It's
there
on.
nobody
I
there?
turned it back on. There's
Okay.
nobody on here, but
All right,
it
thank
can
you.
still be broadcast later and streamed.
All right, thank you. Okay, could I have a motion to come out of executive session for compensation of personnel?
So moved.
Second.
And Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
And no action taken. Could I have a motion to come out of executive session for economic development?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, no action taken there. All right, moving on to item M, approve payment of bills and financial reports. In the absence of any objections or corrections, payment bills shall stand approved. Stand approved. We have a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Marissa, please call the roll.
Molly,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes,
Dan,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
we are adjourned. Thank you all.